everyone. Welcome in. This is October 11th, and Jess and I are on our own. Jamie is away, and we want to just keep up momentum with our channel. So we're here to discuss a card that Jessica pulls from which deck is it, Jess?
This is the Constellation Healing Oracle cards.
Okay.
Constellation Oracle. I just had one pop out.
No, the one that pops out is the one that needs to be read.
Okay. All right. Ooh, it's pretty. Change. All right. That which makes change. Okay, change. That which makes something different through transformation. Insight. Change is the only, all capitals, only constant in the universe of possibility. It's our job to adapt. Dynamics of creation and transformation rely on the power of change. This card indicates something or someone in your life is obviously changing. Although often uncomfortable, we have the power to adapt if we stay aware. If we choose to ignore it, the danger is we could become a victim of outside forces we can't control. Be proactive. Choose your path wisely so it's not chosen for you. Mm, wow. That's I think that feels pretty synchronistic actually to what we were talking about earlier. We were talking about um, just how I've been doing a lot of changing in the last several years, and um, you know how it's not always easy when the people around you aren't changing also, or necessarily changing in the same ways. And so, uh, yeah, just this idea of making something different through transformation. Uh, and I can definitely say that change and having change thrust upon me is one of the areas where like my edges get pushed a little bit. When it's my idea and I'm ready for it, I'm like very adaptable and I can adapt really quickly. But when it's not my idea or it's not necessarily a change I want, I can really like I've got that triple Taurus, like I can literally dig my heels in and be like, no, nothing's moving, nothing's changing. I can do it physically, energetically, mentally. And so, yeah, to me, this is like, I'm thinking of like the sphere of alignment, right? And just like that ability to be adaptable and in your center and stay aligned to like my focus, my path, and the changes that I do want to take place, if that makes sense, right? I don't know what's coming up for you, MB.
Ooh, lots of it. Change is a tough one. Um, what's coming up for me is my profession in nursing. I changed my jobs a lot. Like I just took an inventory of how many jobs I've had since I've gotten divorced, which has been about 5 years. I've had five different jobs.
I didn't
So
realize that.
yeah, so I tend to, I guess, gravitate towards change when it comes to my career. And sometimes there's that voice saying, well, is there something wrong with you that you're changing jobs so much? And then it's like, no, I think what happens is I learn what I need to learn and then I want to learn more. Like I never want to feel stagnant or stuck or trapped. Like I want to just always keep moving and keeping my skills up.
Mm,
What's coming up for me with that. And then also, that story again. Well, why aren't you staying at your job? Because there's a lot of people that stay at their jobs for like 20 years. And like, how come you're not that person? And what happened with me at the first part of my career when I was in my 20s into my 40s, that chunk of time, I stayed at the same hospital. I just went to different jobs within the same hospital. So it looked like the same job for almost 30 years, but it was many jobs within. And I like to say that like a first day at a new job, that excitement of getting to know different people and pushing the edges. There's something about that that I do like. I do like that. And when I get scared about something, I want to learn more about it. That's just something that's in my personality. And as far as my personal life, uh, with the divorce and all, that was like a huge change. And I would say that I reluctantly surrendered to the fact that the marriage wasn't working anymore. And that was really hard because it was changing everybody in my family's life, right? So I was like the instigator of the change, but there was no holding it back. There was no holding it back. I was definitely taking a different path, growing, expanding, evolving in a way that I had no control over. And I just had to surrender to the fact that the universe has a different plan for me. And part of the plan is doing things like a YouTube channel or circles on Wednesdays and becoming a Reiki master teacher and being an unstoppable dream recovery coach. I mean, there's like beyond that scariness of staying small and contained and not changing in my marriage was all of this. So if I had known this was on the other side, I would have felt a lot better about making that move. So I think a lot of it's trust too.
Mm,
Yeah, that's what's landing
mm.
on me today.
I love that. Well said. Yeah. Although often uncomfortable, we have the power to adapt if we stay aware. If we choose to ignore it, then ignore the dangers, we could become a victim of outside forces we can't control. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and I definitely see like how like my programming up until now plays a part in my whole experience of change. Like I was recently at my parents' house, like my family of origin, and like nothing ever changes in their world. Like the house, I called it a wax museum. I was like, it's like a wax museum. Like nothing ever changes. It's like the same, like the same furniture, the way the furniture is aligned, like it's like, and so I'm just like, wow, there's so much like fixity and just like, and I'm like, oh, okay. It's like, okay, I get it honest, right? Like that's where the rigidity and like the need to like control comes from. And also, I could definitely recognize in myself that I tend to be an instigator of change, even when it's not intentionally. It's like kind of where I go because my life path and my life theme and the way like my blueprint is designed is like transformation is just a main theme, and it has been my entire life. Like I've gone through so many transformations, so many changes, been so many different versions of myself. Um, and yeah, it's like if I revert back to that old programming, I can get those same stories of like, well, why haven't you had the same job this whole time? Why haven't you had the same zip code this whole time? Why haven't you had the same this? It's just not the way I'm wired, right? Like everywhere I've gone, every little adventure and side note, even if it's felt like I'm off the rails or I'm not on the path or whatever, have been rich with nuggets of experience, nuggets of wisdom, nuggets of gold that have just further enriched my journey and put me on this, the trajectory that I'm in, um, and I don't know, something about where it says be proactive, choose your path wisely so it's not chosen for you. Like there's like something around that for me too. Um, I think like uh I don't know. I guess I'm thinking of like when my brother died, right? Is like that was such a cataclysmic change that set me on a completely different trajectory. Um, and so, uh, yeah, it almost felt like I don't know, it's almost one of those things that I don't know if I ever of my own accord could have left everything I knew up until then in a safe, you know what I mean? Like I was so immersed in like 12 step and like AA and in that world and just in that like that mindset and that thinking, right? And it took something like so big from the outside coming in to like really shake everything and be like, wow, nothing is as it was, right? We have these like big things. And so it's like I've learned that that event has been such a teacher for me, like one of my greatest teachers, because I have learned time and time again and continue to see the fruit of that experience, right? It's like I would not be on this call with you right here today if that had not happened. Like I absolutely would not. Like I would not have been open to like any of that stuff, right? It was like everything had to go away and leave for something brand new to be created. Um, And so I don't know, just this idea. And I love what you talked about, how it's like it's keeping you fresh, it's keeping you new, like you're always having new energy and new experiences coming in by embracing that energy of change and transformation. And I love that quality about you. Like I see that in you. It's something I love and I always like admire that you're just so willing to like jump in there and be the first one and be like do the new stuff. Um, I'm so grateful for your pioneering spirit in that way.
It's my Aries that comes through.
Yes,
But and what I noticed with you is the resilience, right? Resilience and the like just sticking with it and the tenacity and staying in your recovery path is what comes up for me with you. And the other aspect that really I want to think about too is I always think about if you so if we bring in the spheres, we bring in presence and alignment at the same time. I'm thinking if we're present in our life and we're in alignment with where we're supposed to be going, you can hear the whispers of the universe before you get knocked over the head with it, right? So it feels like that's important to say on this topic too,
absolutely.
that I feel
Yeah.
like we tend to be caught up in our day-to-day routines, that we're not taking that time to really listen and feel that intuitive hit of like am like are the choices I'm making on a daily basis in alignment with my highest good.
Right.
And if they're not, the universe finds a way to get your attention.
Yes. Yeah. And that's that, like, don't let it choose for you, right? It's like that staying adaptable. And like that's where the adaptability in the card comes in and that deep, like, listening and trust. Because it's like, if I'm just pedaling along to the vision I was given in 2020, it's like, well, that's changed like so much since then, right? But if I wasn't taking that time to continue to connect and change with myself, even UDRC, look how much that's changed since 2020, right? Like if we we're just hanging on to the same old vision. So it's like allowing the transformation to take place, the new to come in, and that adaptability. And I think it comes like you said, like that deep listening to yourself, trusting the messages you receive, and trusting that life is unfolding for me. It's not happening to me; it's happening for me. Right? Everything coming at me is for my highest good. And it's like, how can I open and recognize like the inherent love that's coming at me? Right? Like the love in everything. Um, and that's been the biggest paradigm shift for me, is that thinking of moving from because like my experiences up until I got in here had validated my beliefs that life was hard and it was going to be, like it just all the things, like this harsh hard life had been my belief system and had been my reality, because my beliefs were continually creating my reality. So that's been the biggest paradigm shift, to be like, no, I truly believe that we live in a divine, loving, abundant universe, and I truly believe that everything is here to love me. And like in making like taking that time to assure that my thoughts, actions, and attitudes are in alignment with my new belief that everything is here to love me, right? Which again comes into that deep listening and trust, and keeping, you know, being willing to take the necessary steps and actions when I am presented with change or transformation, right? Letting the old fall away, which I
Yeah.
just got some recent experience with, right? It's like, yeah, great topic.
Yeah, that's perfect. Perfect in a nutshell, right? And I love how you brought in the fact that UDRC has changed so much in 4 years. It so has. But the core and the root and the philosophies of the spheres of wellness have stayed steady as we like it's like a container that holds all of the change. So that that's glad you brought that up.
Well, it's a feminine model. It's a feminine way, right? It's like we have the container, we have the content, we have like the purity of the message, and then it's like it's how it wanted to be delivered wanted to change, right? Like that's the only thing that changed. Like, how can we make it more accessible? How can we bring more people in? And so it's like if we hadn't been in that deep listening and Tammy role modeling that for us, right? Of like, I think so, yeah, like let's move some things around, right? And like be open to changing things and letting people leave that wanted, like all that stuff, and new come in. And it's like, we've got this amazing new group of like, I don't know. It's just exciting to see that, like, when you let go and allow what to happen what wants to happen to come through, it's so much better than anything I could have dreamed up for myself. Right. So I think there's that, like having that focus, having that vision, and also having the will, like that enough to like let it go a little bit so it can become what it wants to be.
Perfect. I think that's a perfect way to end. So, like, subscribe, share this YouTube. You can reach us at unstoppable dream recovery circles at gmail.com, right? If you want to
Yes.
join our circles on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. And we have a newsletter and all sorts of things brewing here. So keep watching and sharing.